gamers? I'm Jason, and today on Dice and Dragons, I'm joined by two very special guests who I will let introduce themselves. And for those of you that recognize them, yes, that's right, we've got the designer and artist for Deck of Wonders. They are back. We are doing another art reveal, so I will now zip it and let them take it away and introduce themselves. And yeah, we're gonna have some fun here tonight. Or today. Well, there you go, behind the scenes.
Whenever you're watching it, you know?
Yeah.
I'm Dennis Furia. I am the designer of Deck of Wonders.
And I'm Lauren Brown. I'm the artist of Deck of Wonders.
So the last time we were here, I think we were in the midst of a Kickstarter campaign, or the Kickstarter campaign was looming. The Kickstarter campaign is now over. We're at a completely different stage. And I know I'm really curious to get a little bit more insight as to what's going on behind the scenes, and maybe how things have changed since we last spoke, in particular with regards to the game development and the art direction. I'm really liking that your background there, Lauren. I think you definitely gotta sell that one. I think I need that on my wall in the game room.
So say get the link out right now.
That's right. You can buy it on my Etsy store. It is definitely for sale in various sizes of prints. So if you're interested, you can totally go ahead and
all right, we'll make sure that is down below in the video description for people. So make sure you do check out Lauren's Etsy store.
Thank you.
And fun fact, that's one of the pieces that cemented in my mind that Lauren's style was perfect for Deck of Wonders.
Yeah, I think the piece was actually included in one of the prompts for I think it was actually for the Pixie Cavalry, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. That's exactly it. So yeah, that piece of art has deep connections to Deck of Wonders. And man, it feels, I mean, the Kickstarter was getting close to a year ago at this point. And I think we talked right before it launched. And so we were all kind of fingers crossed, excited or what have you. And my mind was blown. The campaign was, I think, 250%-ish of goal. So we raised close to $60,000 on a goal of 25, which is incredible. Like, mind blown. So thank you to anyone watching who happened to contribute to that, and obviously thank you, Jason and Dice and Dragons, for kind of helping put us up and get us in the public eye. It certainly was much appreciated. So not only that, but I think the thing I didn't expect was that the whole late pledge system on Gamefound, so you can find Deck of Wonders on Gamefound right now, people really responded to as well. And so I think we've raised another like 30-ish% of our original Kickstarter funding just through late pledges. And so that's incredible. So people coming through Kickstarter or people coming through late pledges have just been beyond my wildest expectations, to be sure. And I think part of what is really cool about that, or part of what drove people to be excited about late pledges, is we set it up so that you could still unlock stretch goals with late pledges. And we had little extra rewards, concept art from Lauren, and some extras for the game that you could unlock through late pledges. And we just kind of kept that ticker rolling right on from Kickstarter. So when you late pledge, or if you have late pledged, that helps unlock additional stretch goals even now, and gets little extra art tidbits from Lauren as we go.
So we'll make sure that down below you'll have the link to the late pledge for Deck of Wonders. You should definitely check it out. Also, if you want to see how Deck of Wonders plays, the tabletop simulator playthrough that I did will be linked down there as well.
Mm-hmm. And that is still up for anyone that wants to go check it out themselves. It's kind of the first villain in the game that you go up against. But then, man, other cool things have kept on happening. The first and biggest is that we are doing all of the story for the game in audio form through Foreteller. And I don't know if you've heard of the Foreteller app. If you're playing Madara, which we were talking about before the show started, I'm playing it as well, and my gaming group uses the Foreteller app for the audio for that game, or for the story for that game. And so Deck of Wonders has not 500 plus pages of story. It's significantly shorter, but we are doing fully produced audio segments for each of the story bits that you'll unlock throughout the game.
That is very cool. I haven't used Foreteller yet. It's something that I've been interested in checking out. I know that I don't know if it was Foreteller that they were planning on using. It was the Isofarian Guard, and I think they were everything was going to go through Foreteller, and that kind of turned me off the game a little bit. But I do really love the idea as a supplement, because when Julie and I play together, often one of us is reading out loud. So having Foreteller and professionally produced audio can definitely be something that would really enhance it. But I also like it if I'm just in the mood to read and, keep moving, then I can do it myself as well.
Yeah, voice acting takes a lot more time than just reading. So we actually turn on the audio for the next segment and then go shopping, and we're doing all of our haggling over daggers and this and that while the audio is playing. Anyway, so that is coming to Deck of Wonders, and I've going through the whole process of casting and starting to get the audio in is incredibly exciting. The other huge thing that is happening for any of my Spanish-speaking friends out there is there is going to be a Spanish language translation of the game, like physical run of the game, that is happening through our friends at Eclipse Editorial. And so they approached us after the campaign and just believed in what we were doing and came alongside. And so that will be showing up physically. If you're interested, you can get a Spanish language version of the game.
They do make some nice stuff. I have one Eclipse Editorial game. Unfortunately, I don't know if I'm ever going to play it. It is Skull Tales. It is just a lot more of a beast than I ever thought it was going to be. The rulebook is about 50 pages.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been going through the whole translation process as well, and that is something else. Yeah. So those are the two big highlights. I guess the final thing that people watching now should be aware of, we were talking about late pledges / pre-orders earlier, is that window is going to close in mid-October.
Okay.
So for anyone who's been wondering or keeping track or on the fence, mid-October is when that is going to end. We're going to kind of lock it in so we can have everything go over to our distribution company and make sure they've got addresses right, et cetera. Obviously, it'll open back up once we've kind of got everything where it needs to be from Kickstarters and late pledges. Because of how well the Kickstarter did, we were very fortunate to be in a place of ordering up to have a larger run of the game. So you can probably find it in distribution places, that sort of thing. But there are very good reasons to pre-order or late pledge the game. The first off is that the digital art book that contains, I think, 50 plus pieces of art that Lauren has done for Deck of Wonders, which that number feels weird to even say out loud. But that art book, the kind of digital art book, is normally going to be $20, but you get that for free when you late pledge. The print and play file is usually going to be $10. Like if you bought that on its own, that's free with a physical copy of the game pre-ordered. And then finally, the Foreteller audio that I mentioned is normally going to be $4. That comes free with a pre-order of the game. So that is close to $35 in extra value, and the game itself is $35, the base version of it. So if you pre-order through Gamefound, you're basically doubling what you're going to get.
Sounds awesome. And then how is the production timeline looking? So the window's closing on October. Are we looking at delivery this year, or is it going to be more delivery next year?
Yeah, it's not the production timeline. It's the shipping timeline that gets you. And I'm sure you've heard horror stories from around the industry, just how backed up things are. And not just this industry, but any industry. So we're definitely looking at delivery in 2022. I had to stop and think, what year are we in right now? Oh my God, 2020 was a horrible year. But anyway, yeah. So our original plan had been November, kind of right at the end of 2021. But with the way shipping is looking, we're looking at 2022. I am waiting on a quote back from the distributor and the shipper, kind of partnering to figure out what the best way to do it is going to be. But as soon as I have that, you'll get an update to the broader audience. But it'll definitely be in 2022.
Well, you know what you said. You're planning on November 2021. If you're shifting a few months into 2022, you're way ahead of a lot of campaigns. So, I mean, how many campaigns have we all backed? And just talking to everyone that is out there that's watching this video that have gone a year, 2 years. Some haven't even come close to fulfilling, and you're not even getting updates anymore. So definitely. Sorry, go ahead, Lauren.
There's some that I backed 5 years ago that I still haven't gotten a reward for yet.
Well, if you're coming in 2022, you're definitely on the right track. And I'd say you're in that top tier percentage of Kickstarter projects where you're experiencing some hiccups, but still navigating them rather skillfully, unlike some other companies that I will not name in this video. But maybe one day, I've been thinking about it, doing my top 10 worst Kickstarter campaigns.
And I can cover for that.
Yeah, don't worry. You won't be on that one.
Thankfully, yeah. It's brutal out there. So yeah, it is crazy. And I've heard the stories of people paying 3 or 4 times more and things taking 3 or 4 times longer, if not more. It's just insane.
There's a lot of crazy things going on. I mean, in my day job, I do deal a lot with shipping, and I work for a manufacturer. So I know a lot about the struggle with just getting the material to build some of our products. It's definitely an interesting world that we're living in now. And as you're saying, everything's clogged up. And, I'll find this, because if anyone is interested, as we brought it up, I will have a link to a fantastic New York Times article that really actually breaks down this entire shipping disaster. And it basically starts with a bunch of harbor masters saying, hey, we're unloading the ships. Let's go, 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 go. And then the ships are like, we need the containers to go back. And we're like, no, you got to go now. We're just unloading everything.
Oh my God.
If you're wondering why metal is so hard to find, is because in China, they have to build new shipping containers. So you can buy a shipping container for next to nothing, but it'll probably cost you more to ship the container than to buy a new one, I think.
Yeah. Now, the one thing that is not dependent on shipping is the digital aspects of Deck of Wonders. So I mentioned the art book. I mentioned the print and play files. Those still are on track. And so, especially for people who pre-order, who get those for free, and if you're partial to print and play, you can be enjoying Deck of Wonders a lot earlier. And at the very least, you'll be enjoying the art a lot earlier than you might get the physical game.
Excellent. That's lots of exciting stuff. So how has the design of Deck of Wonders evolved in this last year almost since we spoke? Has the game changed? Has it largely stayed the same? Have you been mainly focusing on, just some small tweaks and balance issues? Or do we have some crazy new things that you and I haven't even talked about yet that have been added into the game?
Yeah, I've tried to exercise restraint as a first outing. This is my first official game. So on the business side, going through Kickstarter, and on the design side, kind of creating it. But it being a solo game, it's already easy to just play test ad nauseum. So I'm always, I can see the deck over on the other side of the room right now that I'm messing around with right now, just trying to poke at the edges of things. I'm always doing that. And every time I think I'm finished and I'm like, I can't, I'm just having fun with this now. There's no way this could be better that I can find. Although I'm sure the second it goes out to the broader public, people will find ways it can be better. But every time I think I'm done, there's something new I want to just tweak or test or mess with, and that takes me down a rabbit hole. So constant play testing, constant tweaking. But I do think as of about a week ago, I made the final round of like real balance changes that aren't just me derping. That are gonna lock it for lack of a better word. So it's feeling pretty complete. I will say on the design side, in terms of visuals, it's been really cool because the story elements developed much later than a lot of the design elements, and the story elements got to be informed a lot more by Lauren's art than other elements of the game. Because when I'd brief, I'd be like, okay, this is the card, this is what it does, because I've figured that out. But then in terms of the story behind it, and particularly kind of some of the bigger villains and settings of the game, those had a chance to really be impacted by what Lauren did.
So I definitely want to hear Lauren tell her side of the story, how she became a partial game designer, or through working with you on a Deck of Wonders.
unintentionally, I promise. But this is something that organically comes along just by my right of being an artist and somebody who is fascinated by narrative and just by telling a story through everything that I'm trying to create. So I think organically, it's something that just came out of the recurring themes that would happen in other pieces of art and the kinds of things that stood out that sometimes I didn't even intend to stand out from each card. And it just formed a world in and of itself. And I think that was a really fun process to be a part of because it became collaborative in a way that I haven't really gotten a chance to experience with other clients before. So I felt like I had a lot of agency over the game and the art that I was making, even if I wasn't trying to have agency. I was just, I was just the artist, but I felt like I was truly a collaborator in this whole process together. And not every project has felt like that. So it was a really special, more immersive experience than than I'm used to. And I really like that. So I'm glad that it informed creativity in kind from Dennis and vice versa, because, the prompts that he gave me and the world that he created was enough to inspire different unique things coming to light, different recurring themes, different characters, in the game, even if they were outside of the named characters. There's certain creatures that show up again. There's certain themes that you see throughout. And basically, like each villain set too, with their biomes, I got to influence a lot of that, which was really awesome because I think I talked about this last time, but I was very adamant on having succulents for Aurora and crystals for Byzantis, and the way that permeates throughout the rest of the art was really, it was a really cool experience to be able to do because those are themes that I'd love to play with anyway. So I was really happy to be able to exert my influence just because of the things that I like. So yeah, it was a great experience.
That will come back up when we reveal the art for tonight.
Oh yeah, it will.
Excellent. And just looking at your background and looking at my playthroughs of Deck of Wonders and then what I've got, like the prototype copy, it's quite clear to me that like Dennis brought you on board and he brought you on board for your art. Like you definitely have a distinct, like you've got your handprint all over Deck of Wonders, and I can't imagine the game without your art. And I really love the fact that you've got this, your own unique style, but it's also like you've tweaked it, but not that much. This is clearly not like like commission work where someone liked your style and says, no, I want this. This is your art in conjunction with Dennis's ideas to create this really cool, different and interesting, vibrant world. And I love the colors, and I love all the green, and you've got in your background. And I'm just remembering our art reveal for Poison Toad, and that was just present on so many of the cards that you just it's got a great feel. And I'm looking for a better word, but yeah, it's escaping me right now.
No, I really appreciate that. My personal art style definitely has a clear color language. And even though a lot of the colors of the art, especially for Aurora and Byzantis, which Byzantis is way more jewel tone and Aurora is much more sunsetty desert, it's still, there's a certain value range of my colors that I keep it within. So I never go dark black or like really saturated colors, just because I like to keep things light and approachable, and it allows people to really enter into that world in a much easier way. And so the whimsy that I have in my normal artwork, it definitely translated to the concepts of these cards and playing with the reverse sides of them a lot. And so, I was really glad to be able to put my style so much into it, and to be able to put that stamp on it, because yeah, it's funny because young artists, they often chase after a style, but it's really just the doing that gets you the style in the first place. You just find what you would love to create. And that comes out organically just because that's your point of view, and only you can create that point of view. So that's something that I was really happy to be able to put into this game. And I probably would not have taken this project if I was asked to do something that wasn't me, because it's the sheer volume of art that I have to do. Like it has to be my style. Otherwise I will not be happy at all. Like I don't think anybody understands, because I work full time. It is so much art to make. And obviously the fidelity of this piece behind me, I was able to spend, upwards of 16 hours on it, because this was just a one-off. And I can't do that for every single card of this game, because I have to illustrate about what's the final number? of cards, Dennis?
Oh God, we can count it up. I mean, it's 14 times 3, and then plus like 14 times 3 plus another 12 or so. So I can't do math at this point. What is?
Well, I'm doing math right now with my
50.
calculator. It's 54 cards.
Yeah, and that's like bare minimum. I'm sure there's some I'm forgetting in there.
I think there's a little bit more than 54 cards, and I'm through most of them now. And
Do you? I'm ignorant. I'm ignorant. I'm ignorant. Do you even put 54 pieces into a gallery, like a big gallery installation? You get away with way less than 50 pieces in that, right?
No, you do. If you're doing a solo show, it's probably about 10 to max 20 pieces, maybe. And that body of work is over a period of probably at least a year or more. And so, you know, to create the sheer volume of work, working full time, also running my Etsy store, it's a lot of work.
Jason, you didn't know you're going to have Superwoman on your call.
No,
I promise I'm not. But so there's certain things that I have to be able to do in order to accomplish that. But what I really didn't want to do was to sacrifice the quality and the fidelity of the art, even across creating all of these things. So, you know, you'll see a lot of recurring imagery, a lot of recurring themes, but overall, each card definitely has its own unique take on what that theme is. And it still has my influence all throughout in my color schemes, everything. I wanted to keep all of it consistent so you knew exactly what game you're playing, when you're playing it. And striking that balance is definitely tricky, but I'm really excited to see the end product. Like, I can't wait to see all of the art together and like look back and like, I can't believe I did all of that stuff.
And
the space of 2 years.
It just comes to mind as you're talking, and just Jason, what you asked about how much we influence each other. Lauren's art even influenced like the way I briefed the music for the Foreteller audio.
Really?
And I don't think we've talked about that, but you'll be able to say like, for real, your art inspired music at the end of this.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What a very synesthetic experience. I love that.
Again, all of this has gone so far beyond my wildest dreams in terms of just the way it's coming to life and the quality of people that I've gotten to come alongside me. Like, it's just super cool.
Man, this is what you got to do when you're creating a world, and hopefully we'll see another collaboration between the two of you in the future. Is this like the birth of a new gaming partnership, like Vital Lacerda and Ian O'Toole? Like, I don't think you could cut those two apart even if you wanted to.
I think if I asked Lauren to do another 50 cards, she might murder me. So we're going to wait on that.
Yeah, like
I'm always prototyping that. I've got a game on my radar that's like just a domino game, and so like it's the art would be like pips on a domino. That might be more achievable for what comes next. We'll see.
Or the box art, some art in the rule book. There's always some smaller things like that you can do.
Yeah, I think I don't have the stamina to take on another long-term project for quite a while, but one-off pieces I can certainly do. Covers and box art and things like that. That is fine by me. But this is it's not a sprint. This is a marathon. And after a marathon, you got to rest for a long time, and you got to recharge your batteries. So yeah, I'm probably going to take a good break after this, and just get back to stuff. Sure. What'd you say, Dennis?
I said a well-earned one for sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I'm really looking forward to seeing the final product and everything put together. And who knows, maybe you're going to have a lot of people asking you to do this full time.
They'll have a lot to contend with. I think if anybody pulled me away from the studio that I work for now, that studio also would kill me. So. But it would be a really cool thing to do too in the future, maybe one day.
I did this a long time ago, and I worked with someone that was an artist, and we were developing an idea for a story based on back in my high school days when I thought fan fiction was cool and well worth it. And we had a lot of fun, and the art was definitely influenced a lot of what we were coming up with. The interesting thing is that part of our theories behind this idea for a story were proven true. We were doing something for a Neon Genesis Evangelion. So for anyone that knows Japanese anime, and that that story finally comes to a close in a couple of weeks with the translated version on Amazon Prime. And it looks like the idea that I had when I was a kid that, like almost 20 years ago, that this is a cycle that repeats itself. It might be coming true. So I'm excited for that. But I can definitely appreciate the creative relationship with the art and just having to get that right and getting that feel, because if you don't get the art, then, I've got Legendary Encounters Firefly, and that game's a lot of fun, but that art, wow, man, that lets it down. It doesn't get played that often.
That's too bad.
Well, it's terrible. Maybe in post I'll have a card pop up and be like, that'll just show everyone why they should hire Lauren. I'll have a nice big flash. Don't do this, hire Lauren.
Now I have to look at this art and I don't want to trash somebody's art, I'm sure they worked really hard on their respective work too.
It all fits a specific style. I just don't know why they were going for that style. I know a lot of people don't like stills, and at this point I'm like, stills would have been better. Just should have gone with the stills.
Gotcha. Yeah, but I think really so many people underestimate the power of art and how it can really influence and change certain things. People's perceptions, how narrative functions, how you feel about certain things. Like some art can even uplift moods and make people feel happy or sad, or there's so much influence and power art has, and it's everywhere around you. And there's several things that I appreciate about this community, but one of the biggest things that I appreciate about the board game and tabletop game community is the fact that art is actually appreciated by most of the people who are in the community, and they understand the power that it has and the influence that it's had. And there's so many pieces that everybody can recall from their favorite manual or their favorite board game, et cetera, that they just absolutely love. And the support and the uplifting kind of attitude people have towards artists, that's part of the reason why I really like to do what I do and work on projects like these, because I get to be a part of this community who actually appreciates what I've been making and sees the work that goes into it. So it's often underestimated by a lot of people, but definitely not by this community. So just it's very special to me.
We love our table presence, and nothing quite makes table presence pop besides, good components, or if you've got miniatures, some great sculpts. Nothing's worse than an ugly miniature. At that point, give me a nicely detailed standee that looks great. And it's one of those things that you're 100% right. I'm not the biggest fan of Euro games.
Yeah.
Because not all of them have that theme that comes through, because they try to go with a drier art. Now, some of them are great mechanically. I've got one over on the shelf, doing Imperium, that I love. I can't say that the art is fantastic in that game, but the mechanics actually do come through enough with the art. Whereas, if I'm playing something like Deck of Wonders or a card game, it's all about the art. If you don't have that aspect to bring you into the world, to help you escape, all of a sudden, instead of being, you're playing Deck of Wonders, it's like, I'm playing cards. Why don't I go play some poker? Maybe I can make some money. Only on a lucky day, but.
Well, I think that too can be something that, the art often speaks to the priorities of the designer, where, there might be someone that's hyper focused on mechanics and like you said, Euro games that you love mechanically, and they just really, their vision for it didn't really include art. And so, they bring someone in, maybe even someone incredibly talented, but they give them, a lot to do and no time to do it, and shoestring budget, whatever. And you you get what you get, and that's good enough for their vision for the game. I kind of, coming to Deck of Wonders, I knew that the art was going to be so important to people buying in, and have treated it accordingly. Hopefully Lauren agrees that I've treated it accordingly.
Oh, yeah.
I think that'll really shine through.
And a great example of art and the value of it is there's been a lot of controversy over the art for the new Descent Legends of the Dark, whereas everyone was so used to this art that's been carried through from all the different Runebound games, and then Legends of the Dark is the first one that it's moving away from it. And a lot of people don't like it. They like the fact that, this character looked one way in like 3 or 4 different games. And you had, I'm sure it was cheaper for Fantasy Flight Games to produce. That's part of what they did, but they created a visual language for this universe. And this game has completely gone away from it, which has rubbed quite a few fans the wrong way. So I agree with both of you. It's very important to create a style and make a world feel lived in and real. I mean, I think one of the first things that happened to me was suspension of disbelief in a film is when the language and like the narrative just start to break. And sometimes that could be as simple as, like the character's costume or the way a scene was set up and designed. All of a sudden it's like, oh wait, I'm not actually in this world anymore. And that can be something that is a huge detriment, especially to any type of narrative game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is why keeping the themes across Deck of Wonders, each biome and everything, clear color language, clear character design, making sure that things are consistent between the cards to let you know that you're in the same universe. That is something that was very important to me. It's like I had to basically become my own art director and make sure that things were sticking within those parameters and using other cards to inform the ones that I'm working on now. And so, I'm hoping that consistent language comes across through each card, in that not only do you know that with every card that you're playing Deck of Wonders, but also exactly which villain you're playing against based on all the 3 languages that I've established for each of those biomes. So, fingers crossed that translates well. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. Well, and even as you get kind of towards end game stuff and you're really customizing your deck and building with cards from different sets, I love the idea that you can draw, a card from a particular set, be like, oh yeah, I remember fighting her. That was hell on earth. Or, I remember what that was like. Like every single card, if the art is done right, encapsulates this memory, this connection that a player has. And, especially hoping for Deck of Wonders to be something that people can kind of carry around in their pockets and play like you would play solitaire. Like, played a million games of solitaire and it's still fun. I love the idea that it can be that for someone, enhanced by the fact that the art kind of creates all these fun memories for people.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So we've been talking a lot about art. I think it's time to do the big reveal. Did you want to share your screen, Lauren or Dennis? I don't know who's got the...
I've got it up.
Okay,
so I can share mine.
Not.
I also have no idea how this is going to look recorded. So I'll make sure you've got the files to put together however you see fit, Jason. So
I might tweak it in post. I got a few ideas already.
Okay. So I'm going to try to share and then maximize so that you guys are getting the full card experience here. But we are going to reveal the card. Tell me if you see it.
Yes. And it's actually working pretty well.
And this card is from the Aurora set, or rather from you'll use this card initially when fighting Aurora, who is a powerful empath. She can control emotion in people. Yeah. Let's see. How do we, Lauren, do you want to tell the story of kind of, do you want me to set it up and you tell the kind of details, or how do you want to go about this here?
Set up the prompt that you sent me and then I'll tell my execution.
Yeah. I was looking at the brief in preparation for this interview. So the card is kind of soft removal. It's cheap but temporary removal by way of turning a minion from ready to exhausted. That means that they won't be able to attack the next turn, but they're not gone for good. They're coming right back the turn after that. And so the prompt I gave Lauren, as I thought about someone falling asleep and the story we wanted to tell with the format of these cards, which I'll take a step back. For anyone seeing this in Deck of Wonders for the first time, sorry, I haven't said much about what the game is. All the cards that you build with go into the same deck, and you and the villain draw from the same deck. And so the card is one thing if you draw it, it's another thing if the villain draws it. And that's it playing out in the format you see here. So I told Lauren that on your side, on the tame side, was a kind of a guard that's on the struggle bus of staying awake. And really, trying to fight off sleep and wants to nap, but he can't. He's on the job. And then on the other side, and I'm going to try rotating here. We'll see if this works. is the guard having succumbed to sleep, given in to his worst impulses. And then there's this cute little cat that you may or may not have noticed, but clearly that cat was just waiting for the right moment to strike, and is getting away with murder while the guard is sleeping. So that was the prompt, was a guard on the struggle bus and a cat on the prowl. And you see now what it has turned into.
Yeah, this was a fun card to illustrate because, there's a lot of guards that kind of show up throughout Deck of Wonders, in each set, I think, especially in Aurora and Byzantis. And so it's funny because a lot of the art of them is usually them doing something derpy or like getting injured, or like none of the guards are very good at what they do.
True.
It's really true.
The worst cards.
The worst cards. I think almost every single one is befallen disaster in some way or another. But so this is a very comical way to treat the guards. Just like this little market bazaar. I have my little hints of succulents down at the bottom too. I have to somewhere. And just this cat who they're definitely not actually asleep because they're again biding their time. But it was just like really fun kind of playing with the desert theme, playing with the colors, again, that kind of softness of lighting. Probably a pretty hot desert day and full armor, probably not really good for staying awake there. So, you only imagine that. And yeah, like this, it's the whole setup for, the little comedy to play itself out, and this cat getting away with stealing, the catch of the day.
Yeah, this guard might as well have been wearing a Snuggie.
Yeah, right. It's a very good way to put it.
Yeah, I can see it. I mean, also you're standing around a market bazaar. How interesting is that? Who cares if that thief steals the apples? I mean, someone's got to become Aladdin, right? So, I mean, he's got to get it.
That's right. Well, and even then that has tie-ins to the story, and like you'll recognize me like, oh, I bet I know where that is, in some really cool ways.
Oh yeah. But yeah, this was a fun one to go overall, and I like the way it turned out too. I hope you do too.
I think it's fantastic. I was just noticing the cat too. Like I was like, that cat's got to be doing something. And then I couldn't quite see it on the flip side. And I love how just when you turn the card over, it's just quite clear. Yeah, the cat was on the prowl, and it's just so perfectly thematic. And I mean, even cat lovers, unless they have like the most amazing cat ever, are like, my cat is evil. I think every cat lover has said that at least one time, and cat owner, that their cat is evil. And so it just works so perfectly with the theme. It's like, you fell asleep. Oh yeah. Now I'm getting into everything.
Yeah. There's something fundamental there that you're making me think of, where, dog owners want someone that will love them no matter what. Right. I guess cat owners want someone that is worse than them no matter what.
It's more like I want something that they function the same way I do, where they want affection when they want affection, and they want to be left alone when they want to be left alone. But it's almost a little bit autobiographical, this card, because so often when I'm asleep, I wake up and find that something has broken, or something got knocked over, or a plant is on the floor and something got eaten. Oftentimes my cats will knock over treats while I'm away, and I'll come home to find all the treats all over the floor. So yeah, that's, it's just a part of cat life, right? This is just what you sign up for. You know that they're going to get one over on you probably once a week. And that's just something that you learn to live with. And that's why you adore them. So
yes, indeed.
I have to get cat owner vibes in here too.
Hey, there are some amazing cats, just like there are some amazing dogs and some terrible dogs. I can't deal with really dumb dogs. I can't do it. I like my dogs smart. And I like my cats when they're also intelligent and affectionate. But a funny cat story that I have is one of my good friends had a cat for years, and the cat would never sit on them or snuggle with them. I spent like one night over there, and the cat's snuggling with me, sleeps on my head, and he's like, I think I should just give you the cat because clearly she likes you better. I'm like, I don't know.
Just using you to rub it in.
Yeah, I thought that might be it too. Like I said, sometimes you, like, as Lauren said, you love your cats, but every so often you're like, are you sure you're not evil?
I mean, I think it's knowing that they're evil and loving them anyway. That's really what you just get to accept them for who they are. That's just all it is. You don't get to choose.
I can tie that to thematically to Deck of Wonders in a second. Ooh, that's rich. That's really good.
There you go.
Can I gush and point out a bunch of other things that I love about this art that
Yes.
maybe Lauren put in, maybe she didn't, but or put in intentionally, I should say. Obviously, she put everything in. But first off, is the little kind of like third eye mark on the cat. Like I had put in the brief, like clearly something magical is going on here. Like there's this sleep is almost like a supernatural pull. So I love this kind of, maybe the cat is keeping watch with the third eye, even when their normal eyes aren't necessarily open.
I have a story behind that and a reasoning behind why I did that.
Sure.
So,
yeah, go.
My own cat, Prius, when I first met her in the shelter, she stood out to me because she had a little diamond right in the middle of her forehead. And I looked at her and knew she was special immediately. And I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to get a cat yet. So I just kept coming back and I would see her, and that diamond in the middle of her forehead always stuck out to me. And ultimately I chose her because I was like, I think that you're my cat. Like there's something about you, and that little symbol is just like my indicator that you're probably a little bit magical. And so that diamond is actually an homage to Frias.
Aw, that's awesome. Yeah,
That's awesome.
And like you said, definitely something magical going on here. This card is a spell after all. The purple markers on it denote it as a spell. The next thing is you'll notice that the guard is having a really bad day for several reasons. First off, the fish he was supposed to look after got carried off. And then you'll notice this little satchel around his waist. I don't know what you call it. Is this a merce? Is this a definition of a merce? A fanny pack, I guess?
Oh, the hip satchel. I actually included this because I own one and I use it all the time. There
you go. Well, hopefully you don't get it stolen, because when he's asleep on the ground, that satchel has walked off. And I think it took me, it's hilarious. Like when Lauren sends me art, she just often sends me art with like maybe a small blurb, because oftentimes it comes in batches. And so I have the progressive like realization as I'm looking at stuff. I think we got all the way to color art before I looked at it upside down. I was like, wait a second.
He was like, it's missing. And I was like, ah.
This honestly, I bet there are so many cards with little touches that I've completely missed. And one of these days we're going to sit down when you're not completely swamped, and I'm just going to hear about all the things that I'm dumb and missed. And then the final thing is just the framing of kind of looking through the stalls and like just where the camera is. Overall, it just feels very conspiratorial. Like it almost feels like maybe you're sizing up the joint too. And you're like, you're working your job. And you're like, oh crap, this kitty's working their job too. All right. Like, it's just the way the scene is set up, even speaks to what's going on here. And mechanically, the way you use sleep is kind of in that fashion. Like you use it to get away with things, because it is cheap and because it's like just long enough for you to get through with what you want, whether that's to load up the board the way you want, or cause a powerful minion for the villain to miss a turn. It's got that conspiratorial vibe to it, and that carries through.
Yeah, we call that the point of view, just making sure that there's depth established in a scene like that. And you have to think about where the viewer is looking at the scene through. And so, yeah, it's like definitely you're like peeking around the market stall, just watching the scene unfold. And then once the scene resolves itself, you get to, do whatever it is that you're going to do, steal the apples or, track where the cat's going. Definitely over the fence, because that's why the cat is on the guard's head in the first place. So,
adding insult to injury.
Yeah, rather. So that cat's gone like that.
And there's nothing more insulting when he wakes up and he's like, where's the fish? And then he like smells it like on his face because a cat whacked him with it too as they were escaping.
For the fish on the way out.
You have scales in that. So long and thanks for all the fish.
Oh no.
Cat's definitely about to make a getaway, and that's a little bit the color, and that is inspired by my other cat, Oliver, who has extremely high ups and will find himself super like on the top of my counter, which is probably about, I think, 15 feet high. And like just the way he jumps, he finds ways to get on top of really high places. And I was like, oh yeah, like Ollie could definitely jump that wall. And so this cat will as well. And he's also an orange boy. So diamond inspired by my tabby Prius, and the orange inspired by my boy Ollie.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I love when you get like that level of detail because it also adds a like realism to the scene. It makes everything more believable. And I mean, anyone that's had a cat or had friends that have cats, you've seen them do those crazy jumps and leaps, and you know that yeah, that's entirely possible. Or if you're snoozing, that snack that you had for yourself is probably gone and devoured.
Yeah, as a person who, again, who loves narrative so much, it's important to me to have reasoning behind everything that I do. And, kind of like, even if it's not apparent to anybody else, just the points of view behind each card that I'm making and my own reasons for making it. There's certain details that you don't know if people are going to latch on to or not, but I like to put them in there anyway, just for, even if there's one person out there who notices it, it's just for that one person. I'm like, I hope that somebody sees the fact that the satchel is missing, or that cat is about to probably jump that wall, or, etc. Like, there's different things that I like to sneak into the imagery of the card game. And I'm hoping that, that makes the world even more authentic, and really gives it more of a personality, than just kind of like going straight ahead, like without really putting any thought into it. So I'm glad that the details are noticed.
It feels alive. And that's one of the things that I find is so fascinating about Deck of Wonders, in particular the art, is you're really working on visual language to tell the story of the game in every card and to construct this world. Whereas a lot of other games, they'll build their visual language and their world building using art, but they could go with table presence, they could go with miniatures, they could go with cards. You're getting everything's in like little bits and pieces. But this is really I'd say the first, story-driven game that I'm seeing where you've got such a small amount of cards in terms of what you're actually, it's a small deck of cards, which is great, but you're really getting the story and the world being told through this. Like, you're seeing, the guards sleeping, you get the idea, like, I don't know much about, where you're at with Byzantis, but you're there, you're in the desert, you really get a feel for the world, and the art, puts you into that place. It's very easy to imagine, a walled desert city, you're going through the market, there's guards, and, this guard fell asleep and the cat is escaping. You can also imagine, something else going on, some criminals like pulling off something. Maybe this is a typical time of the day and that guy's about to get fired or because he usually falls asleep at noon every day. But that's something you don't always get in card games. I mean, we were talking a little bit earlier about Earthborn Rangers as a game that's coming on. That's a pure card game, and while you do get there's a lot of narrative and story behind it, and I really like the art. I think it's fantastic, and the art does tell a story, but it's very different from what I'm seeing with Deck of Wonders. Whereas you're getting a static shot, I find that every card is alive because of the dual nature. So every card has its own narrative, whereas you don't see that often in card games.
Yeah, you feel the love in what Lauren does in a way that's really, really incredible. And I know it is probably mind breaking to like have her doing every single piece of art. So thank you for signing up for that hell. But the fact that she does bring that perspective and intent, and that it is coming from one person and one point of view articulated in different ways, I think allows Deck of Wonders to have that in a really, really special way. And Jason, I love, like, to me, success is you just latched on and now you're telling the story, right? You just gave us this guard is on his last, like, and I'm hearing that, I'm like, yeah, of course he is. It's like, yeah, like whatever this guy's name is, like the fact that you were drawn in to start telling the story as well is what makes one, the art, but then I think two, the medium of gaming so special to me is it invites the player in a way that you just don't get anywhere else. You can have the best crafted movie ever with the most amazing cinematography, but you are observing it. At the end of the day, you don't influence it. And games by their nature tell people, no, you are an integral part of this. You decide how this story goes. And that gives you permission to start projecting into the world in a way that you just don't get anywhere else. So yeah, I love this hobby. I feel very, very thankful and blessed to be able to contribute to it in a small way. and very thankful and blessed for the people that have helped me do that.
Emergent storytelling is a big part of why I love board games. And I would have to say it's kind of unfortunate. I find that games don't do it as well, I think, as they used to. There are definitely some great ones that we have some really fun, cool stories. We were talking a little bit about the lack of art with Dune Imperium, but that game is so rich with emergent storytelling just because of the way the mechanics work and the player interactions that it brings you in anyway. And then a great example of a game that does emerging storytelling, but also has strong art and strong narrative is Cthulhu Death May Die. And I definitely get a little bit of the feel of that from the games of Deck of Wonders. By the way, everything goes differently just from the times where I failed playing the first scenario. It didn't quite go the way I wanted it to go. But, it told like a specific story. Getting stuck on the first scenario in Cthulhu, it told a different story every time. And then the last story we told was a really fun one because my character blew himself up to lure all the monsters away. We have the character that went like completely insane and managed to take out Cthulhu with their like dying breath. But every time it's different, and you get that with Deck of Wonders, and you also get that with the card art that helps you tell that story because it's always going to be different every single time.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. That makes me really happy.
Who's going to tell Pete that he's fired?
Not I, said the cat.
No, the cat would probably just steal his like letter saying that he was fired, so he keep coming back, and then the other guy would be like, "Well, I don't know why Pete's still here, so he could keep stealing from him." It'd be just this big setup.
Yeah. It would be fun to have this card like progress over a period of time where each time like there's different things missing from the card.
Oh
like the
man,
the spear.
That's so good. Yes, I love it.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. I really, really am looking forward to seeing the final product. Like, as I said it earlier, but just everything put together, because the more I look at Deck of Wonders, the more I see the art and just how this has evolved from when we had our first discussion to now. I'm even more excited to see Byzantis and Aurora in the fully completed forms.
Oh yes.
Right.
Yeah, it is being on this side and just seeing Lauren's work. I can't wait to share more, and certainly can't wait to get the whole game out there. Like I said, the pre-orders for it end in mid-October, and then we kind of lock down and make sure that we get all the distribution stuff right for a little bit before it kind of goes on normal sale. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff that you get if you pre-order. And yeah, consider this your personal invitation into the world of Deck of Wonders that Lauren has done so much to craft. Yeah.
So probably would say after Chinese New Year, most likely in 2022, just to take the pressure off.
Probably, if I knew when Chinese New Year was. So I'm a February person. February. Yeah. That's my birthday. Yeah. I think that's probably safe. We have a great team on the distribution and manufacturing side as well. But my spidey sense always goes off when like I haven't gotten 100% confirmation of, what the new timeline is, et cetera. And people they're always like, well, we want to be optimistic, but and I'm like, okay, just hit me with the number. Just give me the date, give me the number. But yeah, I think it could be before then, but I think you're right to say it's reasonable to say after.
Better to not over promise and under deliver.
Yeah.
You really don't want to do that. I've been experiencing that on a campaign that will not be named, and the game was supposed to be here 3 months ago, and it's not coming until September. And they already ran a second Kickstarter for an expansion. And I'm like, well, really? I haven't even got the chance to play the game yet.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. I'm not that fast or good of a designer, so you are in no danger of a Deck of Wonders expansion being ready before you get the base game. That is for sure.
From what everyone said, it's more of a 1.5 than anything else. So it feels like it was a lot of tweaks and a new narrative campaign that has a lot of branches. But from what I've heard, it's some people really love it. Other people are like, I don't know.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm happy to hopefully stay not running afoul of those kind of delays. Anything is possible, and try to just stay, stay humble and manage expectations like you're talking about with so much uncertainty in the global supply chain right now. But I'm so excited for people to get their hands on this.
It's a lot easier for also to send decks of cards out than it is to send, something the size of, and I'm using this just because it arrived, Ankh. Like Ankh arrived and if you went all in, it's like 7 boxes. And that's a lot harder to pull off unless you've got the clout of a company like Simon to get it done.
Yeah, a small footprint with still a big experience was baked into my idea for Deck of Wonders from the start. Like that in terms of like just the earliest version of what this was in my mind was one of the things. And I'm very proud of how that has stayed true. To this day, you can literally play it on an airplane seat back tray if you're so inclined. So you can truly kind of pack it up, take it with you, and it is. I think it's a very deep and rich experience. And it still fits in an incredibly small footprint.
One of the things that's become more and more important to me, especially over the last couple of, I'd say even more so this year, is playtime and how much fun I'm actually having during my playtime. And setup time's becoming more important. Having a little man running around the house means we don't get to play as often as possible. I mean, we bought this nice board game table. For those of you that are fans of the channel, you've probably seen all the pictures on Instagram. There's a reason why I have a vaulted gaming table. I need someplace to store the big campaign games, but also running a review channel means if I'm playing a big campaign game, I might need to get a review out. So I do have a strong appreciation for these shorter, fun games that I still want to play and keep in my collection. We played Fast and Furious Highway Heist. I don't know if the two of you are fans of the Fast and Furious movies, but that game simulates Fast and Furious. It is not a great game. Like it's not like blow your mind. But if you want to play Fast and the Furious quickly and actually have a lot more fun than you thought you'd be having with a $40 game, you might want to check it out.
Very cool.
Does it stimulate family?
Yes, exactly.
Look, who needs setup time when you've got family?
Exactly.
Oh man, you've got to make a meme. Like you've got to make a meme like just Vin Diesel jumping over a board game table, like just throwing the game out. You need
family.
Pops it off.
Oh man, yes. He's a big gamer, so you never know.
He is very much so a big gamer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the entire Last Witch Hunter is based on his D&D character.
No way.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, from his long-running campaign, it's like he created the backstory for his character, and they then made a whole movie around his D&D character.
Man, that's a life right there.
Imagine being that nerdy and also that much like that powerful to just bring your D&D. That's what I want. Those are goals right there. Those are nerd goals for sure.
Yeah. Well, I was just reading The Rock is doing that just for superhero action movies.
Yeah.
Like he basically created his own production studio because he wanted to do cool stuff like that. So
it makes me really happy.
Yeah. Yeah. You see, I mean, it's someone doing what they love, right?
Exactly.
Like at the end of the day, that is always going to be fun to watch.
And who is not excited for the D&D movie? Hopefully it's good.
Oh, I'm so afraid.
I'm afraid too. You know what? We watch it, we digest it, and then we're like, okay, maybe it wasn't what we expected, but we still, find enjoyment, and that many more people know about D&D, which is exciting. So bring more people into the fold. I'm loving how popular it's gotten in recent years, and the fact that it's starting to become more and more acceptable and cool to play D&D. So
I think I've temporarily hung up my rule books are taking a break for a while just because of timing. Well, I still play the big narrative experiences. I mean, Madara is like 400 hours of content. Like,
oh wow.
Yup.
Yeah, just to give you an idea. So I'm not out of the RPG world. I'm just out of the long campaign. I actually need to see the light at the end of the tunnel, at least until the little guy's a little older. I need to be able to put it away.
So wait, Jason, do you play or do you GM usually?
I used to play. I GM'd once a very, very long time ago. I took a stab at it again recently, and narratively I'm good, but it's the mechanics and the narrative that I haven't figured out yet. And my group switched over to Savage Worlds right before the little guy joined joined the world. And then I'm not the biggest fan of Savage World. It's interesting, but it wasn't what I was looking for. So I just haven't really gone back. Also, just don't really have the time. I mean, evenings are when Julie and I get to play games or do things like this. And having a game group on every, even if it was like every other Friday, I was like, wow, I don't have the time for that because it starts at 7. That takes me away from a lot of the dad duties. And I was like, yeah, we're not there yet. He's going to have to be a few years older before I can get back into this, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Everything in its season.
But there's a Power Rangers 5e role-playing game system coming. So I'm kind of like, maybe I'm going to break my...
All right, start rolling up your character. I'm headed to your place. We're going to get this going.
What?
Yes, Renegade Games is making a 5e compatible Power Rangers.
Oh my
system.
God.
They did the deck building game. I'm a huge fan of Heroes of the Grid. Don't ask me how much I spent on it. I won't tell you. It's been too much. But yes, if we're talking about like narratives and nostalgia and stuff like that, like, yeah, I think I'm getting that book just because I don't know if I'll ever find anyone to play it with, but I want to play it. It's going to happen.
I very much want to play that. That sounds like so much fun.
Lauren, have you ever GM'd? I know you play a bunch.
Yes, I have. My first time GMing was for a Pokemon themed D&D campaign, which was amazing. It was Mystery Dungeon style, which means everybody was Pokemon and there were no trainers involved. And then
Nice.
I just GM'd half of a one-shot set in my own universe with 5e mechanics and my own homebrew mechanics mixed in to make the world come to life. And that was, it turned out way better than I expected. And I really want to actually, eventually when I'm, back on my feet after this project is over and recharge my batteries, I eventually would like to make a module in my own universe. It's basically where emotions become manifest and gain sentience, basically. So you have beings made of different emotions, and that's the world that they're playing within now. And it's just been so much fun playing with the mechanics and the world and story. And it's been in my head for 8 years now. So seeing it come to life in that kind of way, I was like, okay, this was kind of meant to be played like this, and I'm really excited about it. So yeah, those are my two GMing. I love GMing. It's so much fun.
I'm just mad because if you ever want to have art for your character, you can make it.
I can. I have.
Yeah.
Now I'm just thinking that like if all three of us wanted to try out a Power Rangers game, I might have to like commission Lauren to design a custom Power Ranger because I'm just looking at the art band. I'm like, oh, you could make some really cool Ranger teams. I think it'd be amazing.
Oh, yeah. You can have a lot of fun with the designs for those.
Yes, you can. All right, lady and gentlemen, I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to add about Deck of Wonders. We've been off topic for a little bit, but it's always fun to let everyone see your personality and get to know you a little bit. And that's the best part of these art reveals, interviews, and just having some fun talking games.
Yeah, I have nothing else. Thank you to everyone who's backed and late pledged. If you want to get in on that, you can still do so at Gamefound. And like Jason said, we'll have the link. You get $35 worth of free cool stuff, including an art book, a digital art book from Lauren, the print and play files for the game, and then the audio through Foreteller if you pre-order. So lots of cool stuff if you're willing to jump in now. And hopefully after you've seen and chatted, you are. And yeah, excited to get this game into people's hands.
Excellent. And Lauren?
So if you want to follow any of my art and watch my progress, see anything that's being posted, you can find me on most socials at Lab Illustration, LAB Illustration. And I post my art. Once art is revealed, I'm going to be posting those on my Instagram and my Twitter. And you can follow my progress there. And if you want to support me, the artist, you can follow me on Patreon at patreon.com/Lab Illustration. So that's what I got to plug. Oh, yeah. And if you want to buy any prints, including this one behind me, that's in my Etsy store at labillustration.etsy.com.
And we will have all of those links down below in the video descriptions. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that YouTube will let you know when our next video is released. We've got a lot of stuff in that video description as well. So take a look at all of Dice and Dragon's social media feeds. We've got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see some of the stuff that we did on Deck of Wonders in the future, in the future and in the past, it's getting a little late here, you'll find pictures on all those feeds. Also, we got a link to a great Canadian game store, multizone.ca. Click that link, get 10% off your next purchase. And it's a great way to support the channel because a portion of that purchase is returned to us. And then I just want to remind everyone to keep playing games.